Ever wondered if women really enjoy receiving explicit photos from men? It's a question that's been on the minds of many, considering how much men seem to enjoy receiving such photos themselves. But do women really enjoy it? Or is it just a misconception? Well, let's dive into it. There are kinds of explicit photos that women might enjoy receiving, and then there are those that should be completely avoided. If you're curious to know, stay on till the end of this video. We start with two types of nudes that women generally find unappealing. The first is what we'll call the top-down photo. This is the sort of photo where the camera is looking down at the man's genitals, often with some random object for scale. It's a lackluster perspective that doesn't really do any favors for your anatomy. It's also not particularly stimulating for the recipient. It's like receiving a photo of a plain, unseasoned chicken breast when you're expecting a gourmet meal. It's just not appetizing, and it can often leave the viewer feeling underwhelmed and uninterested. If you're trying to impress, this is not the way to do it. The second type of unappealing nude is what we'll call the unclean photo. This is a photo where the man's genitals are not well groomed or clean. Hygiene is incredibly important, and if you're not taking the time to make sure things are tidy and fresh, it sends a negative message. It's like showing up to a first date in dirty, wrinkled clothes. It's a turn-off and can give the impression that you don't care about your personal appearance or the person you're trying to impress. In the case of the unclean photo, it can also make your anatomy appear smaller than it actually is. This is due to the fact that excess hair can obscure the true size of your genitals. So if you're not well groomed, it's not just a matter of hygiene, it's also a matter of perception. The top-down and unclean photos are not just unappealing, they can also negatively impact the receiver's perception of you. They can give the impression that you're not putting in any effort or that you're not taking the situation seriously. This can be a major turn-off and can potentially harm your chances of forming a connection with the person you're trying to impress. So if you don't want to turn off the person you're trying to impress, avoid sending these types of photos. Now, let's talk about the photos that are just plain embarrassing. Yes, we are referring to those explicit photos where the sender is holding his genitals. It's a common misconception that this type of photo is a major turn-on. However, the truth is far from it. Imagine receiving a photo where the sender's hand obscures half of the image. Not only does this fail to stimulate the receiver visually, but it also undermines the sender's confidence. It sends the message, "I'm not comfortable enough with my body to let it speak for itself." This lack of self-assuredness can be more unappealing than the photo itself. Furthermore, this approach lacks creativity and forethought. The receiver might think, if this is the effort they put into a photo, what does that say about their effort in other areas? The photo becomes a reflection of the sender's overall approach, and it's not a flattering one. Moreover, it's important to remember that women are visual creatures. They appreciate eroticism and the art of seduction. A photo that's more suggestive than explicit can often be more exciting. Think of a towel barely hanging on after a shower, hinting at what lies beneath rather than giving it all away. Finally, it's not about having the perfect body or the ideal proportions. It's about showing dedication in stimulating a woman the right way. This dedication can make her crave an intimate, spicy, and pleasurable moment with you. Remember, sending such photos can be more of a turn-off than a turn-on. So, how can you send a nude that is both appealing and arousing? Well, let's talk about the art of sending a tasteful and stimulating photo. It's about setting, cleanliness, and subtlety. You see, a photo that's taken in a clean, well-lit setting immediately sets a positive tone. Make sure you're clean and well-groomed, as this shows respect for yourself and the receiver. The subtlety is where the real art comes in. Instead of a direct and explicit shot, consider a more suggestive image. Perhaps you're fresh from the shower, towel slung low, or maybe you're in bed, sheets strategically placed. These kinds of images can provoke intrigue and anticipation, which is far more arousing than a blatant display. Remember, it's not just about what you're showing, but how you're showing it. The goal isn't to shock or surprise, but to entice and arouse curiosity. Remember, arousing a woman is about more than just showing off your genitals. It's about creating a sense of anticipation and desire.